What's going on, Niner fam? It is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast, and this is the instant reaction show from this past the 49er preseason week 1 game just ended. And we got some things that we want to talk about. Can we take anything from a preseason game where most of the starters didn't play? Um, I don't know, but we're going to try. But before we get to any of it, we got to hit the music.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'd like to know,
are you ready for start time?
And it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. Make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And honestly, so preseason game 49ers end up losing to the Titans. Not that it matters. But it was 17-13. And it's kind of hard to come up with anything that you can really take away. But there are some good tidbits. Let's start with this. There's one really good tidbit that I had. Brandon Allen, I think is quarterback 2. It's not even up for discussion for me. Not that Josh Dobbs didn't look half decent, but I would say Brandon Allen had command of the offense, and that's the important part. The as far as wide receivers that are behind Jawan Jennings and Deebo Samuel, Chris Conley didn't look bad. I like Chris Conley. And what was the other? Ronnie Bell should have had a couple of catches that, and it's he's kind of right where he was last year to me, and he hurt himself going up for one, and I just think that it points to the fact that they need Brandon Ayuk in this building, or at least if it's not Brandon Ayuk, they need a vet wide receiver that can do some things that these other guys can't do. And you look at I would say another tidbit that I got: Trent Taylor is still not good. He caught a couple of balls. You give him that against third stringers, but he is not the answer at kickoff returns, punt returns, whatever it is. He's not the answer. I don't know. Honestly, the guy has zero wiggle whatsoever. He could not make a move on anybody, and guys had him dead to rights multiple times. But yeah, Trent Taylor was not good. But yeah, like I said, I liked Brandon Allen. I thought Brandon Allen had a command of the offense, has a little bit stronger of an arm than I thought he did. Josh Dobbs, not that Josh Dobbs didn't look solid. He just there was a couple of moments in his span that you could tell he didn't have full grasp of the offense. And I know that is what he made a couple of plays, but Kyle is going to look at it as when I need him to make a read on the play, and I need him to just stay within the framework of the play, he's not going to be able to do it for right now. Not saying that he can't learn it in the future, but Brandon Allen has a firm grasp of the offense. You could see it right away. And I want to mention too that Clay Kubiak was calling the plays, and honestly, the offense had a nice little rhythm to it. And I don't dislike what Clay Kubiak was trying to do, and it just. Yeah, I just think that, and you know what? Okay, one thing at a time. But Clay Kubiak had a little bit better. I liked the rhythm of his plays. Now, granted, it's a preseason game, but I liked the rhythm of his plays a little bit better than what Kyle normal has been normally doing. Now, granted, he didn't have all of the weapons. There was no CMC, there was no Brock, there was no so many guys. But in preseason games in the past with the 49ers, it's been so vanilla. It's been so vanilla that it's painful to watch. And it wasn't that. I thought the 49ers did a lot of good things, like a lot of nice plays. And there was I was pretty surprised. I'll be honest with you. And I'm gonna gotta say what's up to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys coming through. There, like you could be anywhere, but you're here with me. So appreciate you, Jimmy, in the house. Um, yeah, like I said, he played okay. He showed that he absolutely did not have a firm grasp of the offense, but at the same time, he made a couple of plays. And but the not to have the awareness that the team was going to be blitzing the hell out of you on a fourth, and when they've been blitzing the whole game, it was kind of glaring for me, I will say. Yeah. Oh, this is one we got to talk about. Now we got to talk about Ambry Thomas. I don't need to see him anymore. I don't understand how you can regress when you've got so much competition and you're trying to make this roster. I just don't understand how you can regress again and somehow look worse against second and third stringers and then get hurt. I don't see good things for Ambry Thomas. Now, Renardo Green was in there and he made some good plays, made some not so good plays. I think that he's a willing tackler. Overall, the defense played terrible. Like it was not good. Like there was a couple of flash plays by a couple of guys, but for the most part, the defense did. I mean, it was not good. And the fact that they only scored 17 points just tells me that their offense was just that terrible because they kept getting left wide open over and over and over again. Yeah, it was just silliness. And but Captain, appreciate you coming through. D, yeah, D Winners. I tried to tell you guys about D Winners. Like I think that now, granted, it was the same thing as Renardo Green. Like he made a lot of plays. D Winners, I think he was everywhere in the beginning of this game. At the same time, he overran a few plays, and I think his speed. He was so fast that he missed a couple of tackles. He took a couple of bad angles from what I saw, but for the most part, he was making plays, and so good for D. Good for D Winners. I love the kid. I think he's going to be. I don't think that Devondre Campbell is better than he is. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like on the next preseason game. There was a scare, and I did tweet it out because it looked like he was hurt because one of the other players hit his shoulder, and he was down for a few minutes, but he walked off under his own power. Seemed like they put him back in the game. So, I mean, it's preseason. So if they put him back in a preseason game, odds are he was probably okay. It was probably maybe just a sticker. But yeah, D Winners looked really good. Looked really good. I liked what I saw. Jalen Graham wasn't bad, but overall the defensive line, I mean, Kalia Davis was the only one that really showed me anything as far as the defensive line goes. So I know that they didn't play like most of the guys that are gonna play did, and Alex Barrett. Alex Barrett had a couple of good snaps, but for the most part, it was Kalia Davis show. But it was not good. The backups, I feel like they need more depth. I feel like they need more depth, and if we get to that second and third string, it's going to be trouble. Because they could not stop the run. taking bad angles, couldn't set an edge to save their life, and yeah, it didn't look good, but I don't think he did. I don't think he did last preseason. I know that Kyle has had some. I don't think it was Clay Kubiak that called the plays. I think it was somebody else. Um, because I think Clay Kubiak is relatively new. I don't think he was. Um, I think it was Clint. I think it was Clint Kubiak that called the plays. But this year it was, Clay got to call him. But yeah, I guess. But the point is that Kyle Kyle does let his offensive coordinators, his some of his coaches get a little bit more experience with calling the plays and everything in preseason. He allows that to go on. He even lets the players call some of the plays in practices. So I mean, I love that Kyle does that. It kind of shows that it shows development, like that he's trying to develop his coaches, and yeah, I love that. Uh, yes, 49er faithful forever. Defensive line depth is absolutely an issue. I did not like what I saw. Um, he said winners knocked the mayo out of Levis Coffee at the goal. That was a nice hit. That was a nice hit. I couldn't believe that Levis was out there as long as he was. Uh, oh, Wallace in the house. Appreciate you coming through, fam. And what could Trader have done differently tonight? I try to tell a lot of people about Schrader. I haven't been high on Schrader, and I know that a lot of people said that in the practices he's looked good. But my question with Schrader was always, yeah, he has good footwork. Yes, he has good vision. At the same time, does he have the athleticism? Those holes close up really fast in the NFL. And if you don't hit them with athleticism when you need to, it's a wrap. It's not going to look good. And that's what happened over and over and over tonight. Now, the offensive line didn't do him any favors. But guess what? They didn't really do Jordan Mason any favors either. And Jordan Mason was hitting the holes. He knew where he was supposed to be going. And I think that was the issue with Schrader. I think that it's just going to take him a minute. He doesn't, I mean, JP Mason has been in this is his third season in this offense. It's he's had one off season. So I don't necessarily think that it was a bad day by Schrader. I just think it was a combination of the bad offensive line play and as well because they could not open holes in the run game. They weren't doing too bad in pass pro though. I will give them that. Now when they blitzed, like I don't care who was back there, nobody was picking up the blitz. And I don't know if that's still an issue. I feel like the book is out on the Niners that if you blitz and you can disguise your blitz a little bit, they're not going to pick it up. I mean, that's what we've seen against good defenses is that we don't change the protection. The offensive line is in charge of changing the protection. The center is, and not the quarterback. So that it inevitably is going to leave a free runner on a blitz. And that's what happened a couple of times tonight. And it just completely ruined drives. I would like to see Kyle figure that part out because it really is like as much as many points as they score in the regular season and as many numbers as they put up when they go up against those better teams, they need to have an answer for that. They have to because that's the book on them at this point. If I see it, other teams are seeing it, and that's a concern for me. But Schrader, what he could have, I don't know that he could have done anything differently because the reality is he doesn't have the athleticism to hit the hole like he really absolutely has to. He has to hit that hole before it closes up, and I don't know that he has the explosiveness to do that. It sucks for him, but I said before on my show that that a guy like him that doesn't have that athleticism and explosiveness, like it's going to just be really tough. No matter what kind of numbers he put up in college, he's going up against a different tier now. So, and oh, did everybody see the Mustafa hit? Like it was like it reminded me of the Greenlaw hit on against the Falcons on the goal line. Mustafa, I feel like he could be a player. He needs time because he got caught a couple of times with his eyes in the backfield. I think he likes playing close to the line of scrimmage, and I still want to see more of him in coverage because I do think that could be an issue when if he's not with a good I think it's going to be an issue if he's not with Hufanga because Jair Brown doesn't have he has good instincts, but he does not have. I feel like he does not have the cerebral aspect that Hufanga has, and nothing against Jair Brown, but I think that the communication by Hufanga is a key for what makes that tandem. It's going to make that tandem work, if that makes sense. So I can't wait to see Hufanga in this defense. Jair Brown, he had one impressive play, but for the most part, he was taking bad angles too. The whole defense just kind of looked out of sorts. It was the first preseason game, so I'm not taking too much from it. They didn't have the defensive line. They didn't have a Fred Warner out there. They're having to do things that they normally wouldn't have to do because they didn't have their full complement of guys. So I don't necessarily take too much from this. They just looked like they were missing Fred Warner. It looked like they were missing all their main guys. So I'm not going to say, oh, this defense, there's so much to worry about. There's not. There's not. We were missing 75% of the defense. None of the starting corners were playing. We're missing a starting safety. We were missing all of our starting linebackers, and all of our starting defensive linemen didn't play. So, as depth pieces, there could be some of these guys that could be okay. They just can't be. They've shown you they can't be every down players. That's all. That's all we're going to take from this. But my guy, 49er minded, Bashar in the house. What's going on, my brother? I appreciate you coming through. Yeah, it definitely felt like a preseason game. Absolutely. Throwback in the house. Appreciate you coming through, fam. But yeah, it definitely felt like a preseason game. And we've talked about a few of the things that I liked, didn't like. I did like Chris Conley made a couple of throws, made a couple of catches that I liked. He ran a couple of good routes. Tay Martin ran a couple of good routes. He had that terrible miss, hit him right in the hands. That was Brandon Allen threw some nice balls that were paused that were just muffed. I mean, he was hitting people in the hands. He hit Ronnie Bell in the face mask. That kind of stuff. I mean, he would have. I think that, and he still went right down the field on that in that first drive. So I just think that, but I think Brandon Allen. I think Brandon Allen is your number 2. I just do. I think Josh Dobbs. What I do think is that Josh Dobbs is a very strong number 3. And I think the 49ers have depth that have really weird depth at the quarterback position, which is just kind of weird to say. But I think that either one of those guys would do fine with the full complement of players. And I would say that I was pleasantly surprised by the offensive line in the first couple of drives. Nick Sakel. Can we talk about Nick Sakel for a minute? Uh, I mean, like I have killed on Nick Sakel for a couple of years now. I thought they should have released him last year, and honestly, the year before that, I thought they should have released him. But Nick Sakel actually looked pretty good at the center spot. Also, Pooney dragged JP Mason in for a score. I mean, he was on his way in. It started off him just pushing him in, and he was already on his way in. But then he just took it into his own hands, grabbed JP, and just dragged him in with him. Uh, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Pooney right now. That guy looked really good, and I really think that was part of the reason why the offensive line looked a little bit better than it should have. But Jalen Moore, I want to say Jalen Moore didn't do too bad either. I mean, no, they looked pretty good on the first couple of drives. I was pleasantly surprised. But with these wide receivers, 49ers better pay Brandon Ayuk. I'm not. I think that he. I mean, now granted, they didn't have Debo out there. They didn't have Juwan Jennings. I get it, but I think that this just made Brandon Ayuk's case for him that you don't really have much else. Now, Pearsall wasn't out there either. Cowing wasn't out there, but still, I think. I guess you can't really take too much from that, but it just if I felt that way, I know a lot of people felt that way watching that game. That hey, we really need Brandon Ayuk, and it's it just makes you nervous. It's like a day trader. It makes you nervous. Like the stock is just starting to trend down. Like it felt like even though none of their players were actually playing because the offense it was almost the complete second string that was out there, but the second string moved the ball pretty well. I mean, Pooney's going to end up being first string. I think he's going to end up starting. I don't know if anybody else feels it. Why don't you guys in the chat tell me? You think Pooney's going to start? I absolutely think he's going to start. Roberto in the house. I mean, they're not going to be on the team. Like, let's just be real. Like, they're not going to be on the team. But I appreciate you coming through, Roberto. I think Pooney looked really good. Yeah, and I looked and I wanted to see Tanner Mordecai too, but I just think that they wanted to get as many reps for Brandon Allen and for Josh Dobbs as possible, just because I do think that is a battle for QB2. But right now, Brandon Allen has that sewn up for me. I think that he looks good. I think he looks really good, and I wouldn't be too frightened if he ended up having to start a game. Not that I want that to happen, but I'd be okay with it, just for like one or two games. So, but yeah, absolutely, dudes need to catch the ball because there was a lot of drops. But like we said, we're talking about the fourth, fifth, sixth string wide receivers out there. And where is Danny Gray? Why is Danny Gray? I didn't see him at all. Did anybody else see him out there? Because I didn't see him at all. And I just don't, for a guy that needs reps to make this team, he needed to be out there. And I felt like Brandon Allen and Josh Dobbs both have arms to take advantage of Danny Gray's speed. So I don't know if he's still hurt or if what that's about, but yeah, I would have liked to see him. I'll tell you another wrinkle that in this that I noticed. All the people that want Braden Willis to be Juice's successor, he is far away from that for right now, from what I saw. Maybe you guys in the chat can tell me any different, but I didn't like what I saw. I don't think he's a fullback. It did not look natural at all. I think that, I don't think it was a good look. I think that he needs to be a tight end, and if it doesn't work out there, then I don't know what to tell you. But speaking of tight ends, Saubert, he's tight end too for me. I know people wanted Braden Willis to be tight end too. No, I think Saubert looked the best of the tight ends. I was hoping to see Mason Pline in there just to see him get some reps, but I didn't really see him get. But we saw Cam Latu catch a couple of balls, and it looked natural. He did it he caught it in stride. Who knows? He could still maybe make the practice squad or something to that effect. But yeah, it's Braden Willis. I thought that was a disappointment for me seeing him in at the fullback role. It just didn't look good. He just was not able to make holes for the running backs, and it just didn't look good. But appreciate you, Bashar. Absolutely like and subscribe. And yeah, I'm just not impressed with. I know everybody loves Braden Willis, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And not more. Saubert looked better, a better blocker. He was a better blocker. He looked good catching the ball. I liked him better as tight end too than I do. I'm hoping that he locks up that position. Yeah, Steve-O, I appreciate you coming through, fam. Latu had some catches, which has surprised me. I think it surprised everybody, and they talked about it on the broadcast about how he's had struggles catching the ball, but he actually looked good catching the ball. Ran a couple of routes. The routes he ran looked good. So, I mean, maybe his demise is greatly exaggerated. We don't know. But let me see if I see anything else on the box score that. Can we? I know that I brushed over Jordan Mason, but can we talk about Jordan Mason and why? And this is the exact reason why we've been wanting this guy to get more snaps. He's dragging people for 5 yards. I mean, what should be four to maybe 5 yard run ends up being 6 and 7 yards just because he's dragging people, 2 and 3 guys sometimes, and strong legs. Did he miss the one pass? I couldn't believe that. Can I bring this up? The commentator Greg Papa and Ryan, that they were terrible. They're terrible to listen to. I don't know how the chat feels about them, but they were just down on Mason in the beginning, and they were blaming him for that ball that was over his head, and just because it hit his fingertips, they said he should have caught it. And I mean, he's a running back. He's a running back. He's not a wide receiver. But yeah, I thought Jordan Mason looked great, and I can't wait to see more of him in the season. I'm hoping that he gets a healthy amount of carries. It was not lost upon me that he was he was part of the drive where they just went right down the field. When you can get 6-7 yards, how many did he averaged 5.7 yards a carry because he got stuffed a couple of times, but he had a 13 yards was his longest one, and he had one TD. Now, Cody Schrader ended up with 1.2 yards a carry, and Matt Breida had 6 carries for nothing. The Matt Breida thing, I mean, by the time he was in the game, the offensive line wasn't opening any kind of hole. Barch and the rest of the offensive linemen, they weren't terrible in pass pro, but they can't. The run blocking was terrible. Uh, Tay Martin ended up with five catches. Trent Taylor had 3 catches. Frank Darby, the one guy, the one guy out of the guys that aren't going to make the team that I really liked was Frank Darby. I felt like he ran a couple of really good routes, and one of them I believe he missed the catch. It hit him in the hands, or that was Tay Martin that it hit him in the hands, and because Brandon Allen laid this ball out perfectly, and yeah, Tay Martin it hit him in the hands, and he couldn't come up with it. But Frank Darby missed one, I remember, and then but he made a couple of good. He made a couple of really good routes that but one of them he caught. Um, Jake Tongues didn't look bad at the tight end spot. I didn't think he didn't look bad as a receiver. I didn't really notice him too much in the run game because the offensive line was just so bad. Uh, Ronnie Bell had 2 catches. Who else was involved? But poor Matt Breida ended up fumbling the ball, which was just that sucked. Renardo Green had a fumble recovery, and Alex Barrett should have had that, but yeah, Renardo Green ended up having the fumble recovery. Josh Dobbs had a fumble recovery, and Tatum Bethune looked pretty good on the defensive side. I didn't. I thought that he was just with the last group that really wasn't good, but I thought Tatum Bethune made a couple of plays. He kind of popped on the screen to me. Curtis Robinson's terrible. I don't think he's good at all. George Odom didn't impress me at all. He looked like George Odom. Uh, Ezekiel Turner, I don't feel like he's going to make the team. Taylor Hawkins looks like he's regressed. Robert Beal did not impress me at all. Malik Mustafa, we talked about the couple of plays he made, and Kalia Davis. You know who really impressed me? Also was Rocky Sin. Rocky Sin actually looked really solid in coverage. Now, granted, it was against second and third stringers, but still, it was solid. And he had 1 rep versus their top wide receiver. And what was the guy's name? What's the guy's name? Calvin Ridley. He had 1 rep, and like he held up really good in coverage. So I like Ruckus, and I think he's going to be valuable depth. I think the 49ers are deep at corner. Even Sam Womack, I know he got flagged on that one play, but I thought that could have easily picked up that flag. I didn't think that it was. I thought that he played really well, and he got in there on a run fit to make a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. So I liked that he's making the effort. I've never not liked Sam Womack. The team doesn't like him for whatever reason, and I don't know what that's about. But and Steve-O says Mason admitted he was a bad student, but everyone blamed Kyle. No, Mason didn't admit he was a bad student. Mason admitted that he had stuff to work on. And he knew that in this offense, he had to be able to catch the ball, and he had to be able to pick up the blitz and be able to block. And we knew that was the reason why he wasn't getting playing time. Everybody knew that. At the same time, he's so talented as a runner that you've got to find a way to get him involved. Like, I mean, he's so talented as a runner that even if he does have those shortcomings, I mean, he's a backup running back. He's a backup running back. And but I do think that kudos to him for really applying that to his game. And I think as the preseason goes on, I think he's going to look better and better. So kudos to him. I think that's all I got. I'm going to make this real short because my wife is making dinner for us. And I told her I'd keep this quick. I just wanted to talk to y'all about the and give you guys the update and my reaction to what I saw. Long story short, nothing to. There was some good tidbits by some of the guys that we're looking to for depth. Nothing world shattering. Nothing that I saw that makes me worried about the 49ers going into the season, because most of these guys were all backups. But at the same time, I did see some good things from the backup quarterbacks. I was really pleasantly surprised from the backup quarterback play. I was really pleasantly surprised um, by we just talked about him, Jordan Mason, and there was a couple of things. D Winters, really pleasantly surprised by him, and Mustafa made a couple of plays. The rookies showed what rookies should show, which they showed some flashes, and that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for flashes, because if you can get flashes as a rookie, odds are you just need to just keep working, and then eventually you'll start putting it together. And I think that these guys have the work ethic to do that. I'm looking forward, as the preseason goes on, to see some growth out of some of these guys, and hopefully we can just keep everybody healthy. I was the good part is that we didn't see a lot of 49er injuries, and I'm sure that Kyle is going to talk, have his interview. I'll be listening to that to see if anybody really was hurt. I think Ambry Thomas left the game, and but I mean, that's a bad thing for him. I don't know if that's a bad thing for the Niners. So, not that we want anybody hurt, but at the same time, he's taking reps from other people yeah. You know what? I guess Terrell Luter's hurt. I don't know why he's not playing either, because I don't remember seeing him out there. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I will be back on Tuesday with Beto and Brandon. Appreciate you guys coming in. Appreciate everybody getting live in the chat, and yeah, like a preseason's here. We can finally get some football under our belt, and yeah, like it's almost here. It's almost here. We only got 2 more preseason games, and then we can really start talking about. Hopefully, we hear some news about Ayuk pretty soon, and with that, we'll probably hear about Trent Williams as well. But we'll keep our ears to the Twitter streets, and I'll keep you guys updated on that as well. But before I get out of here, make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And we're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube, of course. And I'm going to probably put this on the audio version as well. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing, you can always listen to the audio version in your car. So there's no excuse. I don't care how you get it, just get it. Also, just make sure you just tell a friend to tell a friend, so we can be friends every day, every week. And I'm going to keep bringing this content to you guys, but I will see you guys on Tuesday. Hope you guys have a better rest of your weekend. Good Sunday, and keep watching that preseason football. Get ready for the season. But you guys have a good night. And as always, go Niners.